How's it going, everybody? For today's beer review, we're going to be taking a look at Southern Tier Brewery's Warlock, an Imperial Stout brewed with pumpkins. So this is Warlock by Southern Tier Brewery, which is part of their Blackwater series. That just means really good beer to me. And this has a very special story and a reason why we're extremely excited for it. Tell them why we're excited for it.
As it always will when I'm involved. There will be a story,
right.
Apparently.
So, when he was on business in Cincinnati, he picked up this beer for me, and I was excited because it's a beer that I've been wanting for an extremely long time. And on the flight back, he was going to check to see if he had broken any.
Yeah. I had gotten off the plane, and my duffel bag was wet. And I was mortified. There were so many good beers in there. I was like, no. As it turns out, one of the beers, the caps had come loose and had leaked. It wasn't even that bad. But while checking and removing the bottles from my bag carefully, thinking that there might be glass, the Warlock over here pulled its wizardry and slipped from my mighty grasp and exploded.
Yeah, it
all over the airport.
Teleport. He messed up.
It was pretty bad.
So, I was so close. Because here's why it killed me. For the longest time, my buddy from Dallas would be like, man, I checked the store. He comes to visit every other weekend normally. And every time he'd be like, I checked the store, they don't have Warlock in yet. Check the store, they don't have Warlock in yet. Finally, I call them, they have Warlock in. And he's like, I'm going to get it. And he comes there and he's like, they were out of stock. Like, that fast. And I'm like, God dang it. And finally, he gets some, and he drops it on the ground, and there's like a black omen surrounding this beer for us. So that's why I'm excited to finally have it and be able to try it.
In hand.
Anyway, let me just read off the beer here. So, Southern Tier Brewing Company, Blackwater Series, this is their Warlock, which is an Imperial Stout brewed with pumpkins and natural flavor. So this is like a pumpkin stout. Obviously, the focus is going to be on the stout qualities, but there should be pumpkin notes in it. You've had like pumpkin coffee before, so that's kind of what I'm expecting. 8.6%, and that seems a little bit low to call it Imperial, but we'll see. And they put a lot of information on there. 19 degrees plateau, which is that whole weird gravity thing that I don't care to learn about. It has the ingredients. It says 2-row pale malt, caramel malt, black malt, Munich malt, pureed pumpkin, magnum hops, sterling hops, and natural flavor. And it says to serve it at 42 degrees. So this is one of the stouts you want to drink like straight out of the fridge and not really let warm up. Color is black, body is full, bitter is medium, and it says to pair it with spicy barbecue, roasted and smoked foods, carrot cake. Only that dessert. Store it dark and upright. And it says Warlock. I'm going to do it in like a really epic voice.
Go ahead.
Warlock is brewed to enchant your palate on its own and also to counterpoint our Imperial Ale, Pumpkin. Make your own black magic by carefully pouring this Imperial Stout into a goblet. Master of the underworld.
It really says that. Dark and mysterious. The Blackwater series is serious about high gravity. Reanimate your senses with Warlock's huge roasted malt character, moderate carbonation, and spicy pumpkin pie aroma. Sounds pretty good.
Now, with all of this being on the label
and the cool artwork,
why would we not have been excited from the very beginning when we had heard about this?
I'm just like, I have to try this. This has been on my bucket list since I started drinking craft beer. So, we're going to be drinking them out of straight side. Well, they have a little bit of a bubble in them. This is kind of actually the traditional style pint glass you see them serve stouts in like Ireland, with like Guinness and the like, so it'll do just fine. And you should be able to give yourself a pretty hefty pour with the large bottle, so you just do your thing, man.
Oh, well. I definitely pour a lot more aggressively than you, more often than not. Ooh.
How's the color?
Are you looking at that color?
I'm seeing that.
In the light, it's kind of ambery.
Yeah, it does have kind of an amber.
There you go. I may have gotten more than half.
Well, we'll see.
It's a little harder to gauge in the new glasses.
Yeah.
I murdered you.
You did.
We have more off camera. We didn't want to take any more chances.
We
got a second one just in
bottle.
case I dropped this one as well.
Light coloration. It is incredibly dark brown. I would go so far as to call it mahogany.
On the edges, it kind of looks like a Coca-Cola, like kind of that nice little dark brown color to it. I like it. I think
Head does not have very much head potential at all. I mean, you poured it super aggressively and your head's almost gone. I didn't pour that aggressively. Mine's already gone.
Yeah.
So not too much craziness going on with the head. As far as the smell is concerned, it smells to me, you haven't had their pumpkin yet, but for all you out there who've had it, just as far as the smell goes, it smells identical to the pumpkin.
I definitely smell pumpkin puree.
Which is interesting, because I don't smell much stout, really. Stout notes.
I'm pretty much getting right up front, just pumpkin.
I'm also getting like a breadiness, like pie crust. Like, no joke. Like, straight up breadiness to me.
Yeah, I get that kind of like that sweet bread smell.
Yeah. So, as far as the smell goes, I mean, there's obviously a ton of pumpkin. I wouldn't call it pumpkin spice. It's like straight up pumpkin flesh. Like
I
meat.
will say that on the label they did say pumpkin puree and not pumpkin spice, which is very different.
Right.
So,
but I'm not getting coffee, chocolate, maybe a little malt. But if I were to just smell this, I would think it was actually just a pumpkin ale. I would never know it was a stout. So, would you?
yeah, probably the same.
No. So let's taste it and see if it's how it smells. Oh man,
That is good.
that is really good.
This is such a vindicating moment because we were very worried that we had gone through all of this
Oh man.
and this beer would be terrible. But
Yeah, I was worried like we would go through all this and it wouldn't live up to it. It lives up to it.
it's
Give me a moment.
it's worth the trouble.
Up front is where you get lots of you get pumpkin meat. I get pie crust. They did say that pumpkin is used to brew this beer, or a lot similar to it, and pumpkin had actual pie crust like flavoring going on with it. So I'm even getting butteriness up front. Almost like popcorny butter, kind of.
It's definitely got a nice. It opens the door well.
Yeah, up front I am getting sweet pumpkin meat or puree. Almost like a bready, warm kind of breadiness, and even some butteriness that kind of goes with the breadiness, like straight up pumpkin pie kind of. And at the end, I do get a little bit of bitterness, malt. To call it a stout, I would say this kind of drink's more like a strong pumpkin porter. Stout qualities are there, but it's not like the coffee and the chocolate stout qualities. It's like those full-on malt bitter qualities that you get from like a bitter stout.
That's what I was just gonna say. That it's definitely got a malty finish to it.
Body, yeah, definitely full. It's not thin in the mouth at all. It's pretty thick for a beer, obviously. I would say actually, it pretty much lives up to what I wanted it to be. If you're coming into it for the first time, it's actually a pretty big balance between the pumpkin and the stout. I was expecting it was going to be like a Founder's Imperial Stout, where it's just this super heavy alcohol with tons of coffee and tons of bittersweet chocolate, and then a little bit of pumpkin in there. But it's not. The pumpkin is very strong in this, and make no mistake. It's definitely a 50-50. It's got lots of pumpkin, and it's got lots of malt in the back. But it's not like a stout in the sense of coffee and chocolate. It's a sense of the malt in the back end of it. That being said, though, awesome. Super awesome beer.
Very good beer. Very... I'm just happy it's not terrible.
Yeah.
That's all I'm happy about. That all of this trouble was not
In vain.
Was not in vain.
Yeah.
That's a better way.
It was not for naught.
I was gonna say not for naught, but I think that without the accent, I just would have sounded stupid.
Probably.
It leaves behind the pumpkin puree on your lips.
That's what's like left behind at the end.
It's
It's really good. So as far as a rating goes, I'm gonna let you go first this time. I always get my rating first, and I think I don't want to sway you at all. What's your rating then?
I'm gonna go.
Basing that this is kind of a specialty beer, you know. You can't just call it. You can't call it like a solid stalwart stout because that's not what it is.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm definitely impressed. I'm probably gonna give it around 8.7. I feel like that's a good rating for it. It definitely delivered with just about everything on the label. Maybe it went a little over top on the label, but it's marketing. Why not?
Yeah, I was thinking the number 8.8 in my head. That's what I was
we're
thinking.
close.
Yeah, we're very close. Yeah. Ways they could improve it and get it up closer to a 10. I don't think you could really ever give a pumpkin stout a 10 out of 10 because that's not really a category. It either has to be a 10 out of 10 or it can never be a 10 out of 10 because you can't really be like, oh yeah, well, as far as pumpkin stouts go, it's okay because there's really not that many. But if at all any, I don't know if this might be the only one out there. I haven't ever looked for it. But as a beer, yeah, 8.8. Ways they could improve it would be, I think personally they're doing pretty good on the pumpkin itself. I think the stout qualities could be upped a little bit. Maybe get some of that chocolatiness in it. I think that would be cool. Coffee, maybe even too. I think actually coffee would pair well with it a lot. The second thing they could do, in my opinion, to up it a little bit, and this is kind of changing up the recipe, so don't get mad at me here, but I think it could be with a little pumpkin spice on top of it all.
Maybe.
Like a little bit of cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg in there, allspice.
With all of these pumpkin beers we've been doing, he has been very basic white girl and has been demanding pumpkin spice in every one.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a little tired of it, Colton. For what it is, it delivers.
Yeah. So anyway, that has been Southern Tier Brewery's Warlock. I highly suggest you guys check it out just because it's kind of like a one-of-a-kind beer. You're not going to find anything else like it. And so, yeah, I do suggest it. Hope you guys enjoyed the review as always, and stay tuned for the next one.